Yeah, as an aside, the CIA, we've got it used to be called Science and Technology, right? It's where they create all the gear, all the amazing things. The Science and Technology Directorate at the agency over the years has developed incredible things, right? Responsible for the U-2, responsible for satellite capabilities, battery technology, right? All the things that they've done over the years. And oftentimes they'd create just sort of gadgetry, right? And I don't want to simplify it and minimize it, but it's important stuff, but, for lack of a better word. And oftentimes there was a concern. We don't want to release this. We don't want to put it out in the field to be used because we don't want it to fall into, into the wrong hands, right? And then they realize that we've got this capability, right? So it's much like we talked about before. If you get a target in your sights, maybe you want to watch that target for a period of time to understand what it's capable of doing, what it's doing. You don't want to just let out, okay, well, we're going to. So, yeah, is it possible we developed a new propulsion system and we're just playing a game where we're saying, okay, we're still working on hypersonics, and air-breathing engines, and we're trying to see what we can do here, and meanwhile we've got this in our back pocket, right, waiting for someday. It's a possibility. In my mind, I think, hey, if that's the case, good on them for being smart enough to be that clever and also to be able to keep a secret.
Is that more plausible than it coming from another planet, in your opinion? Or another dimension, or whatever the explanation is?
You know what? That's a great question. You should have your own podcast. Yeah, you know what? Is it more plausible? But
I mean, what I'm saying is like this. It's so revolutionary. Like if they do have this thing that is the ability to go from 50,000 feet above sea level to 50 feet in a second, something that defies our current understanding of, at least assuming there's a biological entity inside that thing. Let's assume there is.
Yeah.
One of the examinations of the video footage that they got from the jets, they said the way that thing took off, any biological being would be turned into jello.
Yeah.
You would be pink mist.
Yeah. It's not
just the G-force.
It's not the speed. It's the acceleration or the stopping that kills you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, I would assume it's unmanned if that's the case.
Well, there's no windows in that thing. Right. It was completely.
Right. So I guess the answer to your question is, I don't know.
It seems a long time.
Is it more plausible than being from outside this world? Yeah, it's a good question because I don't want to deny the fact that I think it's incredible hubris to say that there's nothing else out there. Right?
Of course.
And so I don't want to lock myself into that corner of the room, but at the same time, that would represent a massive leap in material science as at least we're aware of it.
Right.
And oh look, I have a call. It's Paul Rubens calling me from beyond. Too soon. It's a great question. I don't know. I mean, it speaks to, again, one of my points that because I'm so cynical, I just have a hard time believing that the U.S. government could keep secrets like that for that period of time. Right. I have a really hard time believing that. Yeah.
Right.
So
what would have to take place in order for the government to be developing something that's so superior to what we understand in terms of what's possible with propulsion systems? Like, how would they fund that? How would they hide that? How would they get the scientists involved and the engineers? What would they have to do in order to develop something like this?
Well, it would be similar. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to a program, right? So, inside the government and the military, you develop a program, you come up with an idea. Okay, this is what we want to do.
Right.
We think this is possible, or we're going to work to make this happen.
And there has been some discussion of magnetic propulsion systems.
Yes. Yeah.
And gravity propulsion systems. Something that defies what we understand is possible today. Way back in the 60s, they were talking about this.
Yeah, and
theoretically.
And more recently, too. I mean, there's been some although theoretically they looked at it in the recent past and said it's just, it's not worth pursuing. But to your question, the program concept would be the same. You have that, and then you say, okay, now we got we got to allocate a budget to it, right? We got to do that. Obviously, it's so
It has to be
sensitive.
an enormous budget.
It has to be an enormous budget. Look, I mean, but the known U.S. defense budget now roughly is $800 billion a year or so, a little over probably, give or take.
So you could siphon some of that off.
You would
to
move
some
yeah.
program.
You would
move it to a program.
Put it as a line item in some other innocuous program, and then that again that has happened when we're talking about developing something as sort of not say pedestrian but as straightforward as like surveillance aircraft, right? Then we would you put that money somewhere else. You develop the program. You get the team that's going to be working on it, whether it's at Skunk Works or somewhere, right? But you sometimes have to turn to the same usual suspects, right? Which is why I bring up Skunk Works, right? And you have to do these, because there's, at the end of the day, there's not that many material scientists with that, capability, level of intelligence, and experience, and so then you go from there, and you work like hell to keep it secret. Which again, that if they've done that, I consider that that'd be a great win, because right now. We're still trying to play a little bit of catch up on hypersonics, and that's the next theater, right? I mean, aside from cyber warfare and warfare in space, and space has already been weaponized. Hypersonics is it, right? And so, we're already seeing deployment of hypersonic. And look, to be fair, okay, ballistic missiles, that it's all. The difference between a hypersonic and a ballistic missile is a maneuverability, right? Which creates at the speed. It creates this you keep shortening the gap for response time, right? So if you fire an ICBM, you know what the trajectory is. A hypersonic, glide vehicle, you don't know, right? It comes at you so fast, and it comes from different directions, and you can't predict. So it defeats air defense systems, which is why it's so important. But we're still playing catch up there. So,
is this what we're saying publicly, that we're playing catch up? And is it possible that we aren't playing catch up?
It's possible, sure. And again, I would hope so. That'd be great if that's the case. But
would it be possible that they would keep that a secret?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was in charge of that program, yeah, I would say why would we give up our capabilities?
Right.
So yes, to go back to the original, if they develop this. Alternative propulsion system and again part of this is the material science, right? Because you're punching through the air, at such a speed that it's changing everything, right? It's changing the dynamics of flight. It is a massive hurdle to overcome, but that's what everybody's working on. So